The city was silent, but it was the kind of silence that pressed down on your chest, the kind that made every footstep feel like a thunderclap, the kind that made the ruins themselves seem alive, listening. Snow fell thickly over rooftops, piling against broken chimneys and twisted metal. The once bustling streets were deserted, littered with remnants of hurried departures. Overturned carts, scattered toys, frozen puddles. And in that quiet, a rifle's crack rang out. The shot was sharp, deliberate, unnatural in its precision. And then silence again. A silence that seemed heavier now, pregnant with dread. Somewhere above the street, crouched in the shadow of a collapsed balcony, a boy watched his small frame pressed against the cold bricks, eyes wide, pupils black and unblinking, hands steady on the rifle, every muscle taut, controlled. Yet the tremor in his fingers betrayed the fear he refused to show. From a distance, a mother clutched her children under a ruined doorway, praying silently. The walls shivered with each echoing shot. Dust fell from the ceiling, settling on frozen hands and pale faces. And for a brief moment, she swore she saw a figure pale as moonlight slip between shadows, impossibly fast, vanishing before her eyes could focus. Soldiers on patrol further down the avenue noted the boy in their reports, but only vaguely. Small figure, young, strangely silent, rifle accurate beyond training, disappears after each shot. No one could catch him. No one could predict him, as if Sarajevo itself had birthed a phantom, a child of the siege. Locals whispered of the boy long after the shots had ceased. They said he had the eyes of someone older, someone who had seen too much, that his gaze could paralyze a man with fear or guide the lost through ruinous streets, that he was a ghost, a child, yes, but one who moved with the intent of the dead. The wind howled through broken windows, carrying with it a metallic tang. Smoke from burned-out buildings mixed with the scent of frost. Footsteps echoed, and somewhere in the distance, faint and deliberate, the scrape of boots, or maybe of something else. Always just behind, always just ahead. The boy moved like the city breathed him, a shadow that was part of the ruins, part of the fear itself. One evening, an old man claimed to have found tiny footprints in the snow, bare and delicate, leading up a collapsed stairwell, and then vanishing. Yet the scrape of the rifle told him the boy had moved on, higher, faster, unseen. The phantom of Sarajevo leaving nothing but questions and echoes. Children hiding in basements told stories in hushed whispers about a white hand waving from broken windows, a warning, a signal, or maybe a lure. They didn't know, and they didn't dare find out. Some claimed the hand belonged to the boy. Some claimed it belonged to a spirit guiding him. Either way, no child ever ventured outside after dark without trembling. The snow fell harder that night, muffling the sound of gunfire, of collapse of footsteps. Yet somehow the echoes returned, carried in the wind, bouncing off walls, flowing through alleyways. The boy crouched atop a shattered balcony, adjusting his aim, breathing slow, calculating, the city holding its breath. Sarajevo alive with fear, alive with memory. And when the final shot echoed across the empty square, no one knew if it had found its mark, only that the boy had vanished once again, leaving behind silence, snow, and the lingering sensation that the city had seen a ghost, a child, both real and impossible. The phantom of Sarajevo. It was the winter of 1992. Sarajevo, once a city of laughter music and bustling markets, now lay in ruins. Snow piled over shattered rooftops, curling into every crevice. Streets littered with rubble, overturned carts, and frozen debris. Smoke drifted from collapsed buildings, carrying the acrid scent of fire and ash. The cold cut through every layer of clothing, sharp as a blade. every breath visible in the frozen air, each one a reminder of the fragile line between life and death. Civilians moved cautiously through the streets, mothers clutching children under tattered blankets, whispering prayers that vanished into the silence. Fathers patrolled the avenues with rifles, eyes darting to every rooftop, every broken window. Fear had become a rhythm, a pulse in every heartbeat. The city itself seemed to breathe tension. Every corner could conceal a trap, every shadow a threat. The boy moved through this chaos like a wraith, memorizing every rooftop, stairwell, alleyway. No space too narrow, no shadow too deep. His presence only felt when the echo of a rifle split the silence. Sharp, deliberate, reverberating through empty streets, leaving tension that clung to the city like a thick fog. Even soldiers admitted it, his movements were impossible to track. Like watching a shadow bend to the will of the wind. Soldiers documented fleeting sightings, small figure, moves like a shadow, precise beyond experience, vanishes after each shot. They could not predict him, could not capture him. Reports began to read like tales of a ghost, a child who defied all reason. The phantom of Sarajevo, haunting both rooftops and imagination. The city itself seemed to conspire with him. Collapsed buildings offered natural cover. Alleyways twisted like a labyrinth. The frozen river reflected the pale winter light, broken bridges, acting as barriers and guideposts alike. Yet the boy moved effortlessly, as if Sarajevo itself whispered directions, guiding him through dangers invisible to anyone else. Locals whispered tales blending reality with myth. Children who had perished returning as protectors, spirits guiding the living, white hands waving from broken windows, footprints in the snow leading nowhere, faint laughter echoing in empty streets. Fear and awe mingled in every hushed conversation. A city haunted by both memory and presence. One morning, an old man followed the boy's path in the snow. Tiny, delicate footprints led up a collapsed stairwell, and then nothing. Vanished. Only the echo of gunfire lingering. The city trembled in the silence that followed. He whispered of ghosts of a city that had produced its own spectral guardian, or perhaps a curse. Journalists crouched in ruined buildings, cameras poised on empty avenues, capturing fleeting shadows, movement across rooftops, moments that blurred into myth. Accounts of a child moving with uncanny precision, striking without warning, vanishing without trace. Impossible to capture, impossible to predict. Fact and folklore entwined in each observation. Children whispered stories of white hands appearing in broken windows, waving warning, inviting, or tempting, daring them not to step outside after dusk. Fascination mingled with fear. The boy had become legend, a phantom to be feared and revered in the same breath. Smoke drifted from burnt shops, mingling with frost in the pale light. The boy crouched atop a shattered balcony, eyes scanning the streets below, rifle aimed, breath fogging in the cold air, blending into ruins almost invisible, almost unreal. A figure at once human and impossible, a boy turned myth. A soldier's report described the boy's uncanny knowledge of the city. He knew every alley, every staircase, every hidden corner. Reinforcements arrived too late, bullets fired in vain. He had already disappeared, leaving only echoes and a growing legend. Rooftops became haunted spaces, streets became stage for unseen movement. Night fell heavy over Sarajevo. Streetlights flickered. Shadows stretched across broken cobblestones. Mothers pressed children close. Soldiers patrolled cautiously. And somewhere above it all, the boy moved unseen. Presence felt never fully seen. A child who had become something more. The phantom of Sarajevo. The silence between shots was deafening. Amplified by snow and ruin, the city held its breath, waiting, watching. each frozen street square a stage for the boy's next appearance. Crouched, calculating, ready for the next echo. Anticipation and terror mingled in the very air. From the riverbanks, frozen water reflected ruined bridges and skeletal trees. Footprints led nowhere. Whispers of past lives mingled with present fear. The boy's shadow glided across rooftops, following invisible paths only he could see. His movements choreographed in the frozen cityscape, precise and deadly. Locals spoke of odd occurrences, doors opening on their own, faint laughter drifting from abandoned buildings, the flicker of candlelight where no one lived. Signs, they said, that the city had become alive with ghosts, or that the boy had companions unseen, guiding him, adding layers to a story that blurred the line between reality and myth. Soldiers claimed he was more than a child, a phantom given form, moving with intent beyond his years, each shot precise, each escape flawless. They began to dread rooftops, fearing the city itself had joined his cause. The line between hunter and haunted blurred. The streets were empty, yet alive with tension. Every shadow seemed to twitch. Every alleyway held secrets. The boy moved through it all, silent, patient, calculating. The phantom of Sarajevo. Real, impossible, unforgettable. Sarajevo itself seemed to hold its breath. The city alive with fear, with ghosts, and with the echoes of a boy who had become legend. Near the frozen Miljacka River, a woman crossed cautiously, snow crunching underfoot. The air sharp and silent. A single rifle shot rang out. She froze, heart-pounding, unharmed but terrified. Witnesses described a small figure crouched atop a nearby rooftop. The boy leapt effortlessly, vanished behind rubble. Soldiers arrived minutes later. No trace, no footprints, only the echo of fear lingering over the riverbanks. Medical records confirmed the unusual precision of injuries. Bullet trajectories deliberate, seemingly targeted. Yet no pattern, no motive. Surgeons wrote in logs, "The shots strike with intent," as if aimed by someone trained beyond his years. Civilians trembled at every gunfire report. The city felt simultaneously alive and haunted. Sarajevo itself seemed to recoil at each strike. A journalist crouched in a ruined building, camera poised. Through the broken window, a pale figure moved across the rooftops. She tried to capture him, but the boy disappeared before the shutter clicked fully. Only the frozen ruins remained in focus, snowflakes drifting in silence. The photograph recorded impossibility. A child, a shadow, a phantom caught mid-movement. Police logs recorded repeated sightings across multiple districts. The same small figure, crouched, running, vanishing. Every shot precise, every escape instantaneous. Patrols pursued, yet the boy always remained out of reach. One officer wrote, "It's as if he knows every corner, every crack. Even the city itself bends to his will." Fear of rooftops became pervasive, the unknown turning urban terrain into haunted territory. Journalists and civilians provided consistent eyewitness accounts. A child moving across rooftops, appearing, striking, disappearing. No sound, but the echo of gunfire. Each description chillingly similar, precise, unemotional. The boy's actions seemed deliberate. A test, a message, or simply survival. The city itself became a participant in a silent game. Unofficial military intelligence noted the boy's uncanny awareness. Reinforcements arrived on streets already vacated, rooftops cleared before any engagement. One report called his movement preternatural, impossible for someone so young. Soldiers were unnerved. Even the most experienced officers could not anticipate his appearance or trajectory. Sarajevo became a stage. The boy, the unseen actor. Hospital notes and civilian statements intertwined. Patients described the shot the fleeting glimpse of a child, the psychological impact often greater than the physical. Trembling hands, pale faces, rapid heartbeats. The city's collective fear rose with each incident. Even those unharmed carried the weight of anticipation. Every alleyway, every rooftop held possibility of sudden terror. Archived maps recorded clusters of sniper incidents, precise locations, no discernible pattern. Rooftops, alleys, open squares. The boy appeared where least expected, yet vanished before capture. Analysts concluded only that Sarajevo itself had become his stage. Rooftops transformed into temporary theaters of fear. Streets became silent corridors of tension. The city was both witness and accomplice. Reports from civilians described moments when the boy appeared at impossibly high vantage points, crouched on crumbling balconies, blending with rubble, rifle raised, eyes scanning with calculated intent. Seconds passed and he was gone, leaving behind only the echo of gunfire and the palpable weight of dread. International journalists corroborated these accounts. Blurred photographs showing fleeting movements across rooftops, shadowy figures against snow-dusted buildings, reports of civilians ducking for cover, soldiers aiming too late. Each image and description reinforcing a figure at once real and unreal, a boy who became legend through precision, fear, and disappearance. Medical teams noted recurring psychological trauma. Civilians relived the events in nightmares. Children spoke of a boy watching from above. Mothers avoided windows. The city's collective imagination intertwined with documented incidents. The line between fact and legend blurred. Every street became a stage for unseen eyes, every rooftop a theater of fear. Eyewitnesses recalled the boy moving faster than any adult could manage, calculating every jump, every crouch, every exposure. A silhouette against broken windows, snow swirling around him, reinforcements always arriving too late. Reports highlighted his patternless movement, unpredictable, precise, ghostly. Civilians found refuge in basements and empty halls, listening for the faintest sound of footsteps, the echo of distant shots, walls vibrating with tension. Each report filed meticulously by authorities, yet no one could apprehend him. The Phantom of Sarajevo became a documented impossibility. Analysts attempted to reconstruct his movements, maps overlaid with incidents, trajectories of bullets, locations of sightings. Every attempt failed to predict his next position. The boy navigated the city like a living labyrinth, every roof alley and corner memorized, yet every engagement ended with him vanished. Reports continued to pour in. Repeated patterns of precision disappearance and observation. Civilian accounts, military notes, medical records, journalistic photographs, all converged to form a chilling portrait. A child sniper impossible to capture, moving like a ghost across a city in ruins. Fact layer and folklore layer intertwined seamlessly. Sarajevo became both theater and participant. The city seemed alive with whispers. Every alleyway carried a story. Every shattered window framed a legend. Mothers told their children to stay close, to never look up when the snow fell lightly over rooftops, to ignore whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. The boy moved in the space between fear and fascination. He became a presence in every household, a shadow in every corner. Elders spoke of him as if he were a spirit, a child who had died in the early days of the siege, yet returned, reborn, carrying the eyes of all lost children. Some said he guided the innocent. Others claimed he punished those who dared to wander. His rifle a tool not just of survival, but of judgment. The city itself seemed to bend around his passage. Stories told of hands appearing in broken windows, pale, small, waving beckoning warning. Some believed they were the hands of ghosts. Others swore they belonged to the boy himself. Those who saw them froze. the wind carrying whispers through empty courtyards, a lullaby of fear, a melody of warning. Footsteps paused, hearts racing. No one moved until the sound of snow crunching faded into silence. Children whispered that he was never truly human. A shadow given life, a spirit walking in the body of a boy, sent to test courage, to mark those who had survived, to remind the living of fragility. Every story carried a mixture of terror and awe. The rifle's echo, precise and cold, accompanied each tale. Old men spoke of footprints in the snow, tiny, delicate, leading to nowhere, sometimes stopping mid-step, sometimes fading into thin air. Signs of magic, they said. The boy did not merely walk. He moved with intent beyond human comprehension. The city seemed to conspire with him, every roof a stage, every alley a theater of fear. Rumors told of laughter drifting across empty streets, soft, high-pitched, sometimes merging with distant gunfire. Children claimed it was his voice, teasing, taunting, warning. Adults remembered the sound too well to dismiss it. Every echo carried memory of shots, vanishing figures, and snow-dusted rooftops. Some claimed they saw shadows move independently, rooftops empty, yet snow disturbed as if someone had passed. Glimpses of pale clothing against broken windows, eyes glinting in fleeting light, a presence that vanished when approached. Sarajevo became a city of unseen watchers, each ruin, each crumbling wall a participant. Local legends intertwined with verified reports. Soldiers described impossible accuracy. Civilians spoke of vanished footprints, ghostly hands, and fleeting silhouettes. Journalists captured fleeting images. Together they formed a tapestry of fact and myth. The boy became myth incarnate, a phantom moving unseen, haunting rooftops, alleys, and memory alike. Stories endured decades later, whispered in quiet corners of ruined buildings, retold by survivors, each retelling adding detail. A spectral boy with a rifle, guardian, curse, ghost born of war. Sarajevo's memory entangled with legend, every retelling reinforcing his impossibility. The city itself remembered, every frozen street, every shattered wall, carrying echoes of footsteps, gunfire, whispers. The boy, the phantom, the legend, unseen yet deeply present, shaping fear, awe, and respect in those who remained. Snow settled silently over empty avenues, yet the tension remained, as if he could return at any moment. Even the wind seemed to carry his presence, rustling through broken shutters, whistling across shattered rooftops, shifting shadows across cobblestones. Children clutched blankets tighter. Soldiers scanned rooftops with unease. Every sound magnified, every shadow suspect. The boy had become a symbol of survival, of fear, of the impossible. The locals spoke of objects moving on their own, doors creaking, candle flames flickering, ghostly touches on windowsills. The boy's presence felt before seen, companions unseen guiding him. Or perhaps he was alone, a phantom navigating the city with a precision that defied reason. Sarajevo itself seemed a living entity under his control. In the nights after heavy snowfall, rooftops glimmered like a silver maze, each alley a frozen river of uncertainty. The boy moved across them with unparalleled knowledge. Each jump calculated, each crouch deliberate. Civilians reported glimpses of him perched silently, rifle poised, breath fogging in the icy air, a shadow against snow and ruin. Every whispered tale, every fear-filled anecdote, every sighting combined into a growing legend. The boy became more than a child, more than a sniper. He became the phantom of Sarajevo, a myth shaped by fact, by fear, and by imagination. the city's collective memory forever marked by his presence. Snow fell in thick curtains over Sarajevo, drifting lazily across ruined rooftops, settling in every crack of broken walls. The cold cut to the bone. Streets lay empty, yet alive with tension. Whispers traveled through alleyways, soft, eerie, carrying stories of a boy moving unseen. Footsteps frozen in imagination as much as in snow. The city itself seemed to hold its breath. A mother crouched behind a collapsed balcony, tightly holding her child. Her eyes scanned rooftops, heart pounding. A distant rifle shot split the silence. A pale figure moved across the rubble-strewn street above. Gone before she could blink. Only the echo remained. A warning, a reminder that danger could appear anywhere. In a ruined courtyard, an old man knelt, tracing tiny footprints in the snow, delicate, leading to a shattered stairwell, then fading into nothing. He whispered of ghosts and spirits, of a boy who moved through the city as if guided by unseen hands. Each footprint a story, each pause a memory. Children whispered about white hands appearing in broken windows, pale and beckoning, warning or inviting. Some swore they belonged to the boy himself. Snow swirled around the streets, drifting over rooftops and alleys. Fear and fascination mingled, every shadow a stage, every silent step a reminder of his presence. A soldier patrolling the frozen streets paused. Rooftops above seemed alive. Movement flitted across broken tiles. A child crouched, rifle raised, eyes scanning, then vanished into the ruins. Snow muffled his escape. Sarajevo itself seemed to shiver. Every roof a theater, every alley a trap. Tension became a tangible force. Journalists crouched behind crumbling walls, cameras poised. Glimpses of movement, fleeting, almost unreal. A pale figure darting across rooftops. Snow drifting in the air. The boy appeared and vanished like smoke. Each image, each note adding to a tapestry woven from fear and fact. Myth and reality intertwined. Smoke curled from burned shops, mingling with frost in the pale morning light. The boy crouched atop a shattered balcony, eyes sweeping the streets, rifle steady, breath fogging in the icy air. His figure blended seamlessly with ruins. Invisible, yet his presence shaped every heartbeat, every frozen glance. Civilians recounted similar patterns across districts. Fleeting glimpses, precise shots, figures vanishing mid-step, footprints fading in snow, whispers of ghosts guiding him. Some said he had companions unseen. Others swore he was entirely alone. The boy became an archetype, a symbol of fear, of war's ghosts. Children huddled in basements whispered warnings. Do not answer the wind. Do not climb rooftops. Do not follow shadows. Snow drifted silently. The city seemed to breathe around them. Each alleyway and roof a potential stage for unseen eyes. The tension thickened, pressing against walls and frozen windows. Elders told tales of spirits guiding him, ancestors protecting the living. Some believed the boy carried the eyes of children lost in war. Others thought he was a curse, each story layered over the facts, every retelling reinforcing his impossibility. Rooftops and streets became theaters of fear and legend. The wind carried whispers, rustling broken shutters, whistling across crumbling rooftops. Footsteps amplified in silence. The city seemed complicit, Sarajevo itself a living participant. The boy, the phantom actor, unseen yet shaping every heartbeat, every glance, every whispered tale. Mothers pressed children close. Elders muttered warnings. Rooftops glittered with frost. Shadows shifted as snow fell in drifting curtains. Distant rifle shots echoed. A silhouette crouched, surveying, calculating. Sarajevo held its breath, each street a frozen stage. Soldiers noted unusual disturbances. Rooftops empty yet disturbed. Snow scuffed where no one had walked. Precision shots fired. The boy moved like a shadow. Every strike deliberate. Each disappearance reinforcing myth and legend. Fear etched into every street. Journalists compiled scattered notes, blurred photographs, fleeting glimpses. Civilians ducking for cover. Soldiers aiming too late. The boy moved across rooftops with impossible speed. Reality and folklore merged, a phantom born of Sarajevo's chaos. The city remembered every step. Even the wind seemed to echo him. Rustling shattered windows, whistling through empty alleyways. Footsteps faint but precise. Sarajevo's streets alive with fear memory and ghostly anticipation. The boy became everywhere and nowhere, shaping every heartbeat, glance, and whispered tale. The city held its breath as night fell over Sarajevo. Shadows thickened across rooftops and alleyways. Snow fell silently, muffling distant gunfire. Every sound amplified. A single crack echoed through the empty streets. Hearts froze, eyes darted, but no figure was visible. A rifle shot rang from a crumbling balcony. Civilians ducked in basements, holding their breath. The echo bounced off shattered walls. Above a pale silhouette crouched a boy, rifle raised, calculating, then gone. Vanished into the ruins, leaving only a whisper of movement and fear. Soldiers checked rooftops, stairwells, alleys. Nothing. Reinforcements arrived too late. Each report confirmed the same impossible pattern: precise shots, sudden appearances, vanishing without trace. The boy had become untouchable, a living ghost, an enigma etched into the city. In a half-collapsed building, a journalist discovered a notebook, pages torn and smudged with soot, handwriting small, meticulous, detailing rooftops, targets, and timing. Yet when authorities returned, the notebook had vanished. Only faint fingerprints remained. The evidence disappeared like the boy himself. Locals whispered of strange lights along streets, faint glimmers above rubble, shadows stretching unnaturally. Some swore they saw the boy moving with companions unseen, guiding him or perhaps shaping events in ways no one could understand. Superstition and reality intertwined, impossible to separate. Children hiding in basements spoke of laughter that chilled their bones. Echoing gunfire mixed with soft, buzzing voices. Shadows leaping across walls. Snow drifting in silent flurries. The boy moved as if invisible, yet present in every heartbeat, every frozen glance. Fear became a living presence. Soldiers noted footprints on rooftops. Small, delicate, leading to the edge, then disappearing midair. Evidence of impossible movement. Each jump precise. Each crouch calculated. Reinforcements approached only to find emptiness. The phantom of Sarajevo was everywhere, yet nowhere. A mother described seeing a white hand wave from a shattered window, snow swirling around it. The boy crouched below, rifle aimed. She blinked. Both hand and figure vanished. Only the echo remained. Sarajevo trembled in silence. Stories spread, impossible yet undeniable. The wind carried faint whispers, rustling broken shutters, shifting shadows, footsteps across frozen tiles. A distant shot cut the air. The boy's silhouette briefly appeared, eyes scanning, then gone. Civilians gasped. Soldiers cursed. The city itself seemed alive with tension. From the riverbanks, frozen water reflected shattered bridges and skeletal trees. Snowflakes drifted like ghosts. Footprints led nowhere. Echoes of gunfire lingered. The boy crouched on a rooftop, adjusting aim, calculating. every move precise, every escape flawless. The Phantom of Sarajevo became legend in real time. An old man swore he saw a notebook tucked beneath rubble, pages describing targets, movements, strategies. Yet when authorities searched, nothing remained. The boy had taken it, or the city had swallowed it. Only whispers lingered. A record of deeds vanished, leaving fear to tell the story. Journalists recorded fleeting images, shadows against snow-dusted rooftops, movements too fast to capture fully, civilians hiding, hearts pounding, soldiers aiming too late. The boy's figure blurred. Reality and myth fused into a single living memory, impossible to apprehend. The rooftops were silent, too silent. And then a rifle cracked, echoing down empty streets. The boy crouched, calculated, vanished again. Footprints in snow fading mid-step. No trace, only the lingering sense that he had been everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. The city itself seemed to shiver. Whispers carried across Sarajevo. Stories of a child who moved like shadow, precise, untouchable, guided by spirits, ancestors, or some uncanny instinct. Fear became legend. Legend became fact. The Phantom of Sarajevo existed between memory, myth, and reality, impossible yet undeniable. And in the quiet aftermath, the city trembled. Snow settled over empty streets, footprints erased, shadows vanished, echoes of gunfire lingered. The boy had moved on, or perhaps he had never left, leaving Sarajevo suspended between horror and fascination. The climax of fear, the peak of legend. The city lay silent once more. Snow settling over empty streets, rooftops scarred by war. Echoes of gunfire faded into memory, yet the presence of the boy lingered. Sarajevo remembered every step, every movement, every shadow that had passed across its frozen alleys. Locals whispered in hushed tones, mothers telling children not to look up, elders recounting white hands waving from broken windows. Some said he had companions unseen, guiding him. Others insisted he was entirely alone, every story threading fear, awe, and impossible precision together. Footprints in snow disappeared mid-step. Shattered balconies held no evidence of where he had crouched. Doors creaked open without cause. Candle flames flickered in abandoned apartments. Shadows shifted as though alive. The boy's presence felt, but never fully seen. A phantom. A ghost. A memory etched into the city. Soldiers years later spoke of the rooftops as haunted. Every creaking shutter a warning. Every alley a potential stage. Every silent snowfall a reminder that the impossible might appear at any moment. Their reports mingled fact and myth. The boy became legend, a symbol of war's lingering ghosts. Journalists compiled fragments of photographs, blurred shapes against snow-dusted ruins, fleeting glimpses impossible to confirm. Civilians hid and whispered. Even those untouched by his rifle felt the tension. Sarajevo itself seemed suspended between reality and superstition. The river reflected shattered bridges and skeletal trees. Footprints vanished as quickly as they appeared. Faint laughter drifted across empty streets. Soft, teasing, haunting. The boy's shadow moved through memory, folklore, and fear. A motif repeated across generations. Impossible to capture, yet impossible to forget. Even the wind seemed to carry his presence. Rustling shutters, shifting shadows across the frozen streets. Sarajevo remembered. Every echo, every shot, every glance. And the city waited, silent, for a figure that may never return, or may never have left. The lines between history and legend blurred. Fact layer and folklore, layer intertwined. A child who became a phantom, precise, untouchable, unforgettable. Every street, every rooftop, every shadow held the memory of him, and the story remained unfinished. And so the city sleeps uneasily, snow covering broken streets, rooftops empty, yet the fear lingers, the echoes remain, whispers in the wind, a question unspoken, but felt by all who survived. Was he real, or was he the city's own ghost? A reminder of what war leaves behind. You have just heard another file from Classified History. Sarajevo remembers, but the boy's story does not end here. Some truths remain unseen. Some phantoms walk forever between memory and myth. If you want to uncover more, subscribe and step quietly into the shadows of history.